Hi everyone, my name is Omar and welcome back to the Deeboss way. So today I want to share with you 5 very simple steps that helped me go from this. And today is day 1 of Spanish officially. So in Spanish, I don't know anything at all. I'm starting completely from zero. The only thing I know is mi hombre Omar, ¿cómo estás? And uno, dos, something. That's all I know. Y ahora mi nivel de español es mucho mejor que antes. Claro que voy a hacer las faltas y todo eso, pero eso es normal. Lo importante es que tú puedes hablar con la gente, tú puedes escuchar, tú puedes ver una serie justo en español, por ejemplo, La Casa de Papel, no sé, pero te juro que tú puedes hacerlo. And now I actually started these 5 steps with French and then Spanish, but I didn't keep an inventory of myself at the time when I was first learning French. But for the ethos or the credibility, maintenant mon niveau de français, je pense qu'il est assez bien. Je l'utilise dans le travail, je l'utilise ici à Montréal avec les gens, et je suis trop content avec mon niveau. But anyways, enough waffling in French and Spanish, and let me show you how you can use these 5 steps to help you get fluent in that language that you want to learn. And now the first step is called the Magic 120. And now what is this, the Magic 120? It's essentially the 100 most commonly used verbs in the language, as well as the 20 most commonly used prepositions in the language. And now let's say, for example, you wanted to learn French. So then you would go on Google and you would search, what are the most common 100 used verbs in the French language? And you'll find a bunch of links. You can use any of them. Just make sure it's not a virus. And now once you have your 100 verbs, here's what you want to do. You want to learn how to conjugate each of the verbs in 3 forms. So for example, I did, you did, he or she did. So for example, je fais, tu fais, il ou elle fait. You get the point? And then you do the same thing with the 100 verbs. So now that you have your 100 verbs, you don't want to forget about the prepositions, because it's with these prepositions that we're going to be able to start to build sentences. So for example, in French, they say à la maison. So you want to learn how to say à la, or you want to say on or à, those words that will help you build the sentences. Now you're ready to move on to step 2. And step 2 is actually my favorite step, which is it's time to be a kid again. And now in this step, here's what I want you to do. You're gonna start to watch kids' TV shows. You're gonna start to watch kids' movies. You're actually gonna also read kids' comic books. You're gonna do whatever it is a child would do if they wanted to learn a language. Like for example, when I wanted to learn English. Now I didn't actively try to learn English, but I'm just trying to remember what made me learn the language. It was through watching shows, it was through reading books. It was through talking to people, but we'll get to that in the next stages. But you want to treat yourself as if you were a child trying to learn a language, because in that language, you are still a child, right? You're still learning the language. So you want to watch shows, you want to watch movies, do whatever it is a child would do if they were learning a language for the first time. And now while you're watching the movie or the TV show, here's what I want you to do. I want you to have a pencil and a paper. You can also do this on your notes, but you want to try and avoid distractions, so try to do it with a pencil and a paper. And take note of words or phrases that you find are repeated multiple times within the same episode. Because when I first started, I was taking note of every single word. But then that's too much. It's a bit too overwhelming. So you don't want to aim that high. What you want to do is, if you find that there's a phrase that's repeated 4 or 5 times within the same episode, you find that there's an expression that's said and it catches your attention, write down these things. And then after you finish watching each episode, take a few minutes to try and understand, what does that mean? How can I use that in my day-to-day life? So you start conditioning your brain to think in that language. Now, I'm not sure if the language that you want to learn is being spoken in the area that you live in, but assuming that it is not, and even if it is, this is going to help regardless. You want to languageize your life. So let's say you wanted to learn Italian, you would then Italianize your life. And what that means is you would have sticky notes all over your room with the translation of the objects in Italian. You would listen to Italian music. Maybe you'll watch an Italian cooking show. You'll try to make your life as immersed in the language as possible. You're now ready to move on to step 4, which is the waffling stage. And now in my case, I was quite fortunate that I had my cousin to waffle with. So we would have I'd say 3 calls a week, around an hour each, where I would just tell her about how my day was in French. I would tell her about the new words, the new expressions that I had learned, and then she would tell me how her day was in French. And now try to find someone who's patient, because for the person who's already fluent in the language, it can get a bit frustrating when you're stuttering so much and you're still trying to think of how to say, oh, I had a good day. So try to find someone who's patient with you. And if you can't find someone that is completely okay, you will be the person that you will speak to. So you will actually speak to yourself in that language. Now it's gonna help if you have your phone with you or like something to search up the words for, because you're not gonna know all the words at the beginning. And then you would just talk to yourself. So you would tell yourself, okay, aujourd'hui, je suis allé avec mes amis et on s'est profité. Da, 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 da. You would just tell yourself how your day was, and then you would verify with your phone, or you'd verify maybe with your own knowledge that you already know about the language, and so on and so forth. And by the way, even if you do have someone to practice with, I would highly recommend talking to yourself in the new language you're trying to learn, because it's gonna be like getting to know a new character. Because when you learn a new language, you almost develop a character in that language. So getting to know that person is definitely an interesting experience. So I would highly recommend it. And similar to step 2, in the waffling stage, you don't want to take note of every single word you don't know, because that's too overwhelming. Like even in Arabic and English, there are still some words that I don't even know. So you're not going to learn every single word. But here's what you want to do. When you find that there's a word, an expression, a preposition, whatever it is, something that's constantly being repeated, that's when you want to take note of it. And then you're going to go from knowing 1 word to 2 words, from 2 words to 3 words. And then with our very good friend, the law of accumulation, you're going to find that you'll have a huge amount of words learned through doing this process. And now once you're comfortable with steps 1 to 4, you're finally ready to be an adult, which is step 5. And now that you're in step 5, you can start leveling up the TV shows and the movies and the books to more advanced levels. So for example, after I got more comfortable with Ladybug in French, I started moving towards Arsène Lupin in French, which was a series on Netflix. Highly recommend you check it out if you're trying to learn French. But start to watch TV shows that are made for older ages. And then you'll start to find that there are still words you don't know, which is completely okay. I want you to think of language learning the same way you would look at a life cycle. So for example, when you're in stage 1, which is the magic 120, imagine that you're a child that's between the ages of 2 and 5, and you're still learning a few words here and there. And then maybe when you're watching the kids' TV shows, you're at the age of like 8 to 12, and so on and so forth. And by the way, while I was doing these 5 steps, I was also doing some other things on the side. So for example, I was trying to make my accent sound better. So I would learn how to pronounce certain sounds. Maybe you can join a language club. Maybe you can learn how to journal in that language. So that will help you organize your thoughts in that language. Make flashcards. Find the things that help you enjoy the process. Because let me let you in on a little secret. Even though I've learned these 2 languages, whenever I look back at those experiences, of course, I feel amazing that I was able to accomplish learning these languages. But the fun part was in the journey of going through those stages. So find something that you enjoy. Don't make this feel like a chore. Like listen, of course it's not always gonna be fun. But don't forget to try to have fun. Because the point of this is to enjoy and to better yourself. It's not just about reaching fluency in a language and then forgetting everything you did in the process. So enjoy the process. Anyways, I know this video was a bit longer than my other videos, but I'm so passionate about this topic and I wanted to explain these steps to help you learn that language you want to learn. And like I always say, this is the Deeboss way. Find your own way. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and I'll see you soon. Peace!